Well, welcome, Anna. I'm so excited for us to connect. You are very special because you not only did the program once, but you
Mhm.
did it twice.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like you're gonna have such a unique perspective to add, and I think there's just nothing better than being able to actually hear from people who did the program, and it's so deep that I'm hoping like,
Yeah.
through these kinds of conversations, more of that depth can like come out and be easier understood by other mamas who, potentially want to join the program. So just really stoked that you agreed to be here and to have this chat conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for
You're very
agreeing to
welcome
this.
too. I think you're right. I think the hearing more from the mamas who've been through it might help make it more clear to people who are unsure
Yeah, yeah, and
about,
more
is it for
real.
me? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So maybe you can start just by introducing yourself, kind of like who you are, where you're from, what you do, just so that folks kind of know a little bit more about you, and then we'll dive in.
Okay. And are you going to sort of edit? So if just mess
Yeah,
up or whatever, we can redo and yeah.
totally. Yeah.
All right. So my name is Anna Bryant, and I live in North Carolina. I'm a mother of two boys, and I'm a scientist by training. Um, but I've had a fairly varied career over the
Yeah.
years, and
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to be when I grow up.
Aw. A wild mama.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, I have that answer, Anna. Wild mama. Um,
Oh,
awesome. So, this will be an interesting answer for you, but like, I'm curious what ultimately brought you into the program, but because you did it twice, I really want to hear from you, like, what
yeah.
brought you in at first, but then, what was it, 3 years? Has it been three
Hmm.
years? 3 years later, you opted to do it again. So I would love to actually see that picture from you of like what brought you in originally, and then sort of like why you then came back. That would
Okay.
be, or maybe like even what the challenges were that you were facing that
Yeah.
made you even come in.
Okay. So the first time around, I was, so let's see, I had been a mom for um, about 4 or 5 years, and I had really struggled to find myself
Mm,
after putting everything in the mother identity bucket. I was feeling completely stuck and empty. Um, I felt lonely even when I was surrounded by people. I just didn't feel purpose and meaning, despite, leading what from the outside would look like a very fulfilling life. And I hated feeling that way. I did not know what to do to pull myself out of that
yeah.
because I just didn't even really know what I needed. I didn't know myself well enough to know what I needed. And I probably even said this in the interview, like when the intake form, I didn't really know who myself was. I knew what I looked like as a mom. I knew what I looked like as a wife. I knew what I looked like as an employer, as a scientist, but I didn't know who my like capital S self was.
Wow. Yes, I
Yeah.
can hear that. And then, so maybe you can share like what motivated you to join then, and then after sort of going through and then coming back, why did you want to come back and then go deeper?
Um, I think what really attracted me to joining the first time
Mhm.
was the way the program was framed as not just a way to fix my problems, not just do these 6 tricks and everything will be better, but it was framed as a way to harness my own power and learn a new way of approaching the world with it.
Yes.
And that felt like a real solution, as opposed to a quick fix, or it felt like it would be deep enough to actually touch what I needed it to.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it did. So I came out of that first program recognizing a self, and I spent the next few years getting to know that self. And then eventually I found myself feeling stuck again, and lonely and disconnected. And the things that had worked before to keep me connected to myself just weren't doing it anymore. And I didn't understand why. I had some ideas, I had a few ideas of why it might be hard for me to continue growing the way I had been.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to translate that into action. And
Totally.
so, having been through the program before, I knew that one thing that Tim is amazing at is making us move into action, right? Like imperfect action. Even if you're not ready, you can still move in some direction, some way. And I knew that without some accountability, without some support, without some wisdom and coaching, it was going to be a lot harder and a lot more lonely to try to do this on my own. And I also knew I would be like, oh, it's not perfect yet. I can't do that. So the second time around, it was really, it was a fairly easy decision because I knew what the program was and I knew exactly what it could give me. And I could recognize such a perfect fit for where I was in my life right then.
Yeah. Which is so amazing because it's like, before there's a huge question, will this work? I don't know. There's like a if
Yes.
attached to it, which also makes you, probably confront some of those, questions in your head of like, do I even deserve to invest in myself? Like, I don't know. Like, should I do this? Like a lot of those big questions to even get to that point. Like, because I think we're often conditioned to sort of believe, well, I should be super mom. I should just be able to figure this out. I should just be able to, like all the shoulds. So to come around the second time and be like, oh, I feel stuck. I've worked really hard over the last 3 years to get to know myself, to use the tools, to put them into practice. But now I'm a different person. Now it's like I know myself and I'm like, wait, who is this new version? And so now I need sort of support, but to be able to say like, I need support and then just jump in, get the support, go get it versus struggling and like, whatever, like you took yourself as far as you could go. And then you're like, okay, now's the time to get support. And now I can be off again to do this thing. That's so great. Because I feel like so many mamas suffer probably longer than they need to. Because there's like either a question of, will the support even help me? Will it get deep enough? Like you said, do I even deserve it? Versus like, hey, I know I can do a lot on my own and I'm also allowed to get support. And right now I need support. So I'm going to go get that support that I know I can rely on. That's amazing. That's so cool.
And the first time around, it was so much harder to imagine investing the time every week that I will make sure I have this 2-hour call time available every week. I will make sure I have this 3-hour hard work time. That was like a commitment I had to really think through. Like, am I going to be able to do this? But this time around, you were like, would you be interested? And I was like, yes, I can do this. I know exactly how to invest this time into this program and I know it's worth it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to ask that question of, am I going to be able to make this work, or do I deserve to invest in support? I knew I did.
Which is amazing. Because it's not easy to show up for 12 weeks, which, the original program was 8 weeks and that felt like a lot. And then this year I was like, oh, we're going to do 3 months. Actually, we're going to do a whole season together. And to be able to just be like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can commit. I feel like that's another big thing because so many mamas struggle to know that they can follow through, right? And to know that they can show up for themselves consistently. And so for you to be like, oh yeah, I know I can do that because I did it before. It's like
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true.
That's amazing. So how did the holistic approach of the Mama Master Plan program kind of impact your journey? Because kind of like what you were saying early on, it's like the approach felt like it could help you get to the deeper
Yeah.
level. And so I'm curious, like if you could speak more to that kind of like holistic approach that the program has and how that did help you on your journey.
Yeah. I think in general, the program has enough elements and enough movement through them to allow you to get what you need depending on where you are in your life, right? It was very different for me the second time around than the first time around, but it was the same steps both times, right? I think one of the cornerstones is that a lot of the program is based on recognizing, like I said before, recognizing your own power, recognizing your own deep knowing. So what you're learning is not how to be according to Tiff. You're learning a new perspective, a new way to look at the world through the eyes of you, mama.
Yes.
And your eyes are the ones seeing it, right? But it's a new lens. It's a new way to approach being a mama in this world that has tried for our entire lives to tell us exactly what we should be as mamas, that has tried to put these glasses on us and say, this is the only way the world should look to you. That holistic approach allows you to take those glasses off, to really consider which viewpoints you hold, which viewpoints still make sense when you are tapping into your true, deeper knowing.
Yeah.
And it's not just information presented, but you're doing it in action every week. So you're actually doing something, taking steps independently and in the calls in a group with other mamas, so that the experience of starting to translate yourself into this new worldview, you get practice at it, and it becomes more real and it becomes more approachable. And all the, oh, but I shouldn't, oh, I couldn't, but what about this, what about that, becomes those become a little bit smaller, because you're actually getting to do it every week a little bit in a different way each week. So yeah, I think that's one of the key parts of the program, is the way it's all about tapping into what you've got.
Yeah.
The other thing I really think is important about the program is that it doesn't just look forward. You have to look at your reality. You have to consider what got you here. You have to consider and actually this time around we did my journey to this point. Or maybe we did that the first time and I don't remember.
No, we didn't. It was
that
new.
was new. Yeah. So even a little bit of looking back, and then you have to face your reality, look at what's in the present, and then look ahead. And so having to step into each of these places, but again, Diff never leaves you there for too long. You gotta keep moving, gotta, keep moving and take some imperfect action towards the next step. I think that's really powerful too. It would be a lot less meaningful if you were just sort of, these are the things I can do in the future. You can't make the right choices about what's in the future unless you've really faced what's happening right now and what got you here.
Yeah, which is what we talk about a lot. And, sort of like, if you think of it as like a map or like Siri, it's like you can have your destination, but if you're not real about your starting location, you're not going to get there. Siri's going to be confused. Wait,
all
what?
The time. Rerouting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait a minute, you're saying you're here, but you're actually here and you're trying to get there. So like, we're just circling. And so many mamas do that. So many people do that, but definitely mamas, it's hard to face your reality. It's hard to be real about it, especially when, like you're saying, the glasses that you have on aren't even yours. So you're already disoriented, right? With this viewpoint that's not even yours. So you're trying to be somewhere that's not even yours. And then you're trying to figure out you. So it's like, wait, which glasses am I So we're confused
Yep.
anyway about
Yep.
where we are, because we have society's idea about what we should be, we have our parents' idea of what we should be, our partner's idea of what we should be, like our, just like all these things. And it's like what you said, like, hey, we're getting rid of all that shit and we're gonna finally look through our eyes. And that can be disorienting in and of itself, because it's like, wait a minute, I don't know, can I trust that? What is this? This
Yeah.
whole thing. But when you get to that point and realize, oh, this is actually my reality, these are my eyes,
Yes.
I can actually see, then we start moving. And that's where we're able to break through that stuckness, which I think you've experienced multiple
Yeah.
times now.
And the destination even changes. The more you see where you are, you're like, oh, I thought where I needed to go was this career change or this relationship change or this whatever. Actually,
Yes.
none of that is actually where I want to go now that I've really looked at where I am.
Yes. Oh my
And
God. That's such a
that's
great
powerful.
point. Damn, that's such a really great point, because it's so true, because a lot of that destination is influenced by the perspective through which we're looking
Yes.
that isn't even
Yes.
ours. So it's a lot of the shoulds, it's a lot of the ego, it's all these things, fear-based, like, well, I couldn't possibly do that, so I have to do this.
Yeah.
But once we start getting real, then it's like, oh, I get also real
Yes.
about my vision. And then everything starts to transform. And then we just start
Yeah.
blowing shit up.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my God, I love that. That's like a breakthrough for me, just like hearing you say it like that. It's both perspective shift, and probably your
Yeah.
past as well, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when we change those glasses, we're looking at everything from a new perspective, and wow,
Well,
damn.
yes. Tiff, oh my God, the conversations we had about my past and the sort of
Oh,
shift in framework from, oh, this problematic part of me to like this fucking warrior part of me.
yes.
Yes, once
Oh
you
my
start
God.
the perspective, everything looks different in every direction.
Oh man. I'm like blown away right now. I'm like, hell
Yeah.
yeah, this is so great. Which is why it's so cool, because what you were saying is like, I'm not coming to this program learning how to look at the world through Tiff's lens, or
Yeah.
looking how to put these strategies in place that Tiff does. It's like, no, here's a framework of thinking, a framework for, operating or seeing yourself, but to get your own glasses and to get your
Yeah.
own knowing, not so that we can all have the same glasses. We have similar values, we have similar
Yes.
perspectives, based on the alignment to the seasons and grandmother
Yeah.
earth and nature. Like, that's kind of our root, is that our common root is nature. But like, we're not trying to be each other, right? So I
Mhm.
feel like it just shifts everything, because it's
God.
not about me and how I implement, it's you, but I give that framework that no matter when you're coming through, if you're coming through 3 years ago, if you're coming through now, if you're coming 10 years from now, it's always going to be applicable, because it's more of those
Yes.
foundational universal kind of
Yes.
like laws and understanding, because it's based on nature, and also based on just some of the things I've learned about being a mother, in this country and in this world. But it's not about me, so you get to
Yeah.
uniquely show up, as you, and everything just changes. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we take off those, those cultural glasses, and you maybe have an instruction manual for how to build glasses or how to build a different viewing platform or whatever. And you're like,
Yeah.
here's the deal. You can see it differently, but you got to figure out how to look for yourself. And
Yes,
that's the hard work. That's what
that's
makes
the
it
hard
so
work.
hard, is you have to
Yeah.
do that work to figure out how you're actually going to bring yourself into the world in this way.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, the
And
program
that,
grounds you with the fundamentals that support you to do that.
yeah. Damn. And that's what makes the community then so much stronger and more
Yes.
powerful, because we're all bringing our unique lens. We're all bringing our unique perspective, our unique knowing. And that's where, when we talk about like, oh, we're all oak trees in the forest, our own
Yep.
trees, whatever tree you are versus me, but our root systems are connected underneath.
Yes.
So then we can grow to be this powerful ecosystem that's very diverse and very different, which is beautiful, because we come from very different backgrounds,
Yeah.
but we connect on a whole deep level. I don't know your favorite color, but I know you. Like,
Yeah. Yes.
like I know Anna shit. Like I know Anna
Yeah.
really, really well. But I don't know all the like intricacies of your day-to-day life, but I know you and I see the perspective and I see the potential, and that's where we get to support each
Yeah.
other across race, across, class, across all kinds of
Yeah.
these perceived barriers that are created by our world, our society. But when we connect on this deeper level, it's like all of that just like it's not a barrier.
It's not. And I think that's that alignment to nature as sort of an underlying theme,
Mhm.
this idea of us getting in touch with our wildness,
Mm,
right? That means that every time we're connecting, that's what we're bringing. That's what we're being
yes,
asked to bring to those calls. That's what
yes,
we want to see from each other in those calls. So that's what's there.
yeah, and that's what's centered, and it
Yeah.
allows us to have that commonality in our desire to be whole, no matter what other like
Yeah.
background, belief systems, what it's like. That's
Yeah.
our common ground, and that allows us to build this bridge and then this beautiful ecosystem that we can grow and yeah, fucking take over, like
Yeah.
because that's the
Yeah.
goal. But wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Can you share specifically like what like lesson or week or activity really has kind of transformed or like really helped you kind of have like a turning point? And it could be from the first time or the second time or both, but just like which one has really kind of impacted you a lot?
Um, so the first time, I think that the values exercise
Mm,
was super powerful for me simply because I had never really thought about my own values.
mm,
I had left the church behind and, in my 20s, but not
mhm,
really considered, okay, that was the value system that I was handed. What do I want to keep from that? What do I want to change with that? I just didn't think about it. And so the idea of naming and knowing my values and then actually being able to use them as a filter for how I lived was revolutionary for me.
whew,
I continue to this day to learn about my values, and I still feel like I haven't even nailed each one of them exactly right. Right? It's
mm,
it's it's an ongoing process to really understand my values, but they have already been able to give me perspective on decisions I have to make, or uh, even just how to spend my time, even just how to maybe nurture myself when something doesn't feel right. Right? I
mm.
have that reference point that I didn't have for
Yeah,
15-20 years.
totally,
When I
totally.
did have it, when it was given to me, that never felt right. I was
Right.
never asked if these values resonated with me, and I had to use them as a filter for my life, and that it never felt right. So being able to really craft my own and begin to understand myself more through those, the first time around, that was really powerful.
Damn, that's awesome. What about this last time? Because we went deep this last time.
Oh my
Shit.
gosh. So this last time, I think two of them really stand out for me. One was when we did the Face Your Reality,
Mm,
and I was just hyper focused on one part of my reality. And I knew that I had a lot of things that I could look at, but I could feel this pull to pay attention to this one thing. You
mm,
need to pay attention to this one part of your life that is the most important reality you have right now, that is begging to be faced. Um, and so it was really powerful this time to have that sort of narrow focus, despite feeling like, oh, but there's so much else I could do. And what if this isn't
mm.
the right way to do this program, right? But to be able to just be led by myself and then follow it where it went, it was transformational.
Wow.
Uh, the other one that was big for me was the visioning part. I can't remember. Is it just called visions, that whatever that module is?
Yeah, we did kind of, I
The
did
big
it.
vision.
Yeah, that was in week 6 because that was an update I made from the first round. Because in the first round
Yeah.
we did visioning that was mainly in week 2. And
Yeah.
then this time I was like, let's expand it in week 6. Let's go really big, like 10-year
Yes.
vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really incredible this time around to have gone through everything I did in the first half of the program, and then to be able to kind of let myself go and like,
Mm,
but then what is the vision? What does that actually look like?
yeah.
In a way that I never had before. I think I have always had, again, those voices, the shoulds, or what about this person, or what about this, or what about that.
Mm,
It had been very, very hard for me to actually let some of these things really come to the surface and be known.
yeah.
That was really, really powerful.
Yeah. So do you feel like, over these last 3 years, like after you did the program once and then you had that time to kind of like sift through that, like being able to sort of like, uncover and learn more about yourself and like kind of shed more over those
Mm-hmm.
3 years gave you that kind of new space that like when you started to go through it again in those first 5 weeks this round, by the time you got to week 6, it's not only everything you just uncovered in these last
Yeah.
6 weeks, it's like everything three
Every,
years plus that
yeah.
got you to that point of visioning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in general, going through the program the first time and then spending years, trying to continue the work and
Mhm.
start trusting myself more. And by the, like, every week it was easier to trust myself in the work,
Mm,
to go to a more authentic place, to um go deeper than I had the first time, because not only had I already peeled a lot of layers away, but I
mhm.
had built so much trust with myself already.
Yes. Yes, that's so beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're naming that building of that trust in yourself because like you said, it's what got you to that point because I think so many people have the misconception that it's like a one leap you make or it's
Yeah.
like a big decision or like all of a sudden I trust myself because I just have to believe in me. But it's
Yeah.
like, yo, you've been working for not only did you do the program, but then 3 years you were
Yeah.
working at it. You were working through all the kinks, the doubts, the questions, like trying to show up, fail, try to show up again. And that is really the work. That's the lifestyle of trying to
Yes.
parse out
Yeah.
and also integrate everything you learned with like the reality of your life and like, oh, how do I
Mm.
get into more alignment with who I said I was and want to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of that does build trust. It might not feel good in the
Yes, it
moment all
does.
the time, but you're absolutely right that that is the work that builds trust, that then you come
Yeah.
back second round and you're like, oh, like I have learned a lot and I have changed a lot, because when
Yeah.
you're in it, it's like, oh shit, I don't know, Tiff. But then you
That's
get
so
to this
true.
point where it's like, oh my God, I have done a lot. I've grown so
Yeah.
much. And now I can trust myself to focus on this one thing and not feel like I'm doing it wrong. Or,
Yeah.
I can dive in deeper, so that's amazing. And I'm glad that you're naming that self-trust and how that gave you sort of the power to vision bigger.
Yes. And the first time around, I think, looking back, I don't think I saw it then, but
Mm,
looking back, I can see where I was afraid to name certain things, to even look in certain directions, right? Our very first session of this last cohort, you asked what our intention was. And the first thing I wrote was like, to face the scary stuff. And the only reason I could do that is because I trust myself. And I know, okay, you've spent years, you faced scary stuff, and you made it through. And this time, any scary stuff you're facing, you got this crew of wild mamas with you. They're facing it right alongside you.
yeah.
I trusted myself, but I also trusted the program. And
Yes.
um, that's a huge difference from the first time around.
Ah, And it makes me feel so good because it feels good also to be trusted. Like even
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you trusting me, but then also it feels good for you to trust yourself. And then we can trust each other. It's like
Yeah.
it's this
Yes.
solid ground, it's this foundation that we create. And that's the beauty of, I think, this work over time. It's not just, oh, I sign up for the program one time and then I disappear. It's like for some of y'all,
Mm,
we've been chatting, we've been coaching, we've been connecting for years now, and it just gets deeper. The relationship, the
yes.
trust in yourself. I've been growing too, so my trust in myself. So
Yeah.
each time we do it, we're all getting better.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool, because it
Yeah.
really is a lifestyle. It's not about just like do the program and then okay, that's it. Like
Yeah.
it's like we continue. We're committed to actually realizing our potential in this life for the long term, building for 7 generations and beyond. Like that's just a different way of showing up every day.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's amazing. So since you've gone through it twice, and I only made a couple of updates this round, so it's pretty much still the same, and all the week to week themes are have stayed the same consistently. How do you feel, or like what's your perspective on that week to week approach? Because it is very thematic each week. They
Hmm.
all build on one another. You only get one lesson at a time. So can you speak to kind of that progression and the structure of the week to week?
Yeah. So I think that it's really important that you do only have one lesson at a time because it's a lot. It's a lot of new perspective to take in and
Mm,
try to integrate with your own experience. Um, it's a lot of work to really reflect and think and dig to do the work, the way you want to do it.
mm,
And it would be easy to look ahead and maybe use that to inform what you're doing week to week. But I think it's really important to take it one step at a time. It allows you enough space to get what you can from that lesson without staying stuck. That
mm,
momentum to keep progressing through the program is really important, especially for somebody like me who can tend towards perfectionism, right? I could easily stay stuck and want to give it a little bit more time and then more time and more time. But to be
mm.
able to, get what you can in that week, and then you're going to take that and build onto it, you can't get stuck. You have to keep moving towards something, right? You're going to
Yeah.
get something out of it no matter what. There's no getting out of this without something. Um, and you don't have a choice. So I think it's really important that you do limit one lesson per week, that you build on it, and you expand your perspective a little bit every single week until by the time you're at the end, it's not as scary to think about making an actual
Mm,
plan, to think
mm,
about how I can do this, right?
mhm.
You have done enough every single week to be at the point where you can actually do that work of translating this into action.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's often why mamas get stuck is the overwhelm. It's like, oh, I need to hurry, and the rush feeling like, well, I
Yeah.
gotta hurry up. I gotta get there. I'm already behind. Like, and this just like slows you down. It's like, it's
Mm,
okay. We're committed to this time. So let's pace ourselves and let's get there, but let's actually show up and do it.
yeah.
But it can still be imperfect. And I like what you said earlier too, because it made me think like, you're allowed to be where you are in the program. Like you're saying, like, you know, maybe some people are able to finish every single question
Hmm.
in lesson one. Some people maybe not. But the point is, be where you are and just keep showing up
Yep.
imperfectly every week. And it
Yep.
will serve you. And then it also teaches you, oh, I can do this in my life. I can show up imperfectly and I still get a lot of value. I
Yeah.
still understand myself. I still build trust with myself. It's not a all or nothing kind of thing. Like either I show up perfectly, answer everything, and that's the only way that I can get value. That's the only way I can make progress in my life.
Hmm.
That's the only way I can make change. And that is such a false
Yeah.
like narrative that we're taught is like all or nothing, perfect or nothing. Like you either do it all or you're worthless. Like
Yeah.
that's so much
Yeah.
of the messaging, and that's so false.
Yeah, the first time around, I felt very much like every worksheet, I'm going to answer all the questions. I don't want to like, I want to do this right. And I don't want to like miss an opportunity to get something out of it. And, like hustle culture or something in my wild mama program.
Totally.
And the second time around, it was much more like, okay, I've dedicated this time. What can I actually do with it?
Yes.
And that was it. Right. And some weeks I just thought about the answers to the worksheets. And some weeks I answered the 3 that called to me. And
Yes.
it was much more, yeah, I think much more relaxed. But I think that that's easy doing it the second time around because I could trust myself in the process more.
Totally.
I also think that even though there is this sort of week to week, there's a lot of structure to it, which is super important. There's never any denial of the reality of being a mom, which means sometimes you've got sick kids.
Yep. And they're right
Sometimes
there.
life just blows up around you. And that there's flexibility in that too. There's not an expectation of this is going to go perfectly smooth, but you kind of actually need that because that's the way it works when the program's done and you're out in the world again, right?
That's right. That's right. And I love that because that, again, like you're saying, that's the reality. And because this is a program specifically for mamas, you're in a group of people who all get it. They're like, oh, girl, I know. I understand.
Yep.
Like, it's okay. If you got to go get your kid, whatever, like, it's all good. But the funny thing is, like, everyone's still showing up every week. Like, I'm just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's so just amazing and powerful. And again, like, it's a safe space. And that's what I think allows us to just keep showing up, because we get value even if I wasn't able to do everything I wanted to do. Just simply listening to you and listening to your questions, or listening to another mama's questions, or getting coached, or having someone else get coached, and you're like, dang, I didn't even know that was a thing, but that was my issue too. Like, that part is just like, oh man, I'm getting value no matter what.
No matter what.
And I think that that's kind of the layers that I'm sort of like even seeing even more in this call. Is like, there's a learning that we're doing, and a kind of like a reframing our thinking, but there's also an unlearning that's happening at the same time. Right. And so it's like a learning how to kind of let go of the perfectionist thinking and the like, I have to show up, I have to be a good student. And it's like a relearning of like, oh wait, but who am I? But like, wait, what natural cycle? Like, what? Like, so it's like both of those things. We're peeling back layers, but we're also adding new ones that give us more like layers. So can you speak to that accountability? Because we talked about it a little bit, of just like the week to week that brings that structure, the calls, but like, how is the accountability in the program? And like, maybe you can just explain and share how that actually operates, and like what value that's been in getting you to the end.
I think the accountability in the program comes primarily from the community, from this sense that from the beginning, I'm going on this adventure with these other mamas. And we've all shown up here. On the very first call, you're sharing something real, something totally vulnerable with these brand new people in your life. And it's really hard to not continue showing up. One, because you start to build a relationship with these people by connecting on a very real level. But two, because you get so much out of those interactions. So like you were just saying, if I didn't do the homework, if I didn't do the worksheet or whatever for this week, I am still going to get so much out of that call from listening to what the other mamas have to say. And then when I do the work and I share, I hear from them, did they get something from me? Right. And so whether it, I can't even tell you, there've been so many times when another mama was like, oh, Tiff, my question for coaching this week is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a question, but I have it too. I have that one too. So many, notes that I've taken from hearing other mamas' stories or hearing the coaching for other mamas' experiences. I think that's the most powerful accountability. There is always Tiff reminding you of what you need to do. And there is always this, knowledge of the cadence, and we're getting somewhere. I have to show up and I have to keep doing something. I really think the accountability comes so much more from the group.
Yes. And it's because the group is small, right? We're not in a
Oh
group of
yeah.
100 people. Like you
Yeah.
said, you're actually intimately getting to know these other mamas on a deeper level, and you showing up matters. And when you're not there, everybody
Hmm.
knows and feels it.
Yeah.
And it's not about
Yeah.
like, oh, Anna didn't come. It's like, where is Anna? Like, I need to hear from Anna, like
Yes.
because we all benefit. It's like a growing relationship of people you've never even met before, which is kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like it's this individual journey that when I commit to my journey, it benefits the whole. When other
Hmm.
mamas are showing up and committing to their journey, it benefits me. Like I need you to actually show up on
Yes.
these calls because it helps me, right? That whole
Yes.
concept of Ubuntu, like I am because we are. Like I'm learning how to be a mother, how to be a better person through you, and you're learning how to be better
Yeah.
through me, and all through each other, we're learning how to be greater. And that's how I feel the world actually changes. Like that's how
Yep.
we shift generations. And so it's this collective healing that's taking
Hmm.
place through relationship with each other, but also my own individual healing that takes place, that when I show up for that, I then am showing up for other people too. And that's so different from society, right? And
Yeah.
how we're taught to show up just it's just about me, or whatever. It's just very individualistic. And I think this just turns it all on its
Yeah.
head.
It absolutely does.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. And I think also this last round of having all
Mm.
alumni in one call,
Yeah.
holy moly, that was like a whole other level of
It
accountability,
really was.
because y'all had already gone through it. You all decided to opt back in to do this together. We were just able to get to a much deeper level than the first one, which makes sense. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you all's connection to each other was also so much
Yeah.
deeper.
Hugely.
Like
Yeah.
it was transformative.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes,
like
it was.
even for me, like I was like, whoa, this is like incredible.
Yeah, a small group and all of us starting from with a common language, a common experience of the program and ready
Yeah,
to go deeper. Yeah, it was like
yeah,
from the first week.
yeah.
Mm.
Damn, that's amazing. So if you feel comfortable naming, what were some of your root issues that you identified in the program, either in the first round or the second? And like, how do you feel like the program helped you address those things?
Okay, so do we have like what 3 more hours to cover the reviews?
We need a part two and a part
Right.
three. But I do want to make sure you're okay with time. How are you on time?
Um, I'm okay. I
Like
hang
10
on.
minutes,
Yeah,
15?
let's do 10 more minutes. I'm gonna
Cool.
send. So I'm taking a class on Thursdays for dialectical behavioral therapy. Um, I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have not.
I always tell people it's like teaching me how to be a person. It's like
Interesting.
mindfulness and emotional regulation and things like that.
Wow, send me the link. I would love to read more about it.
Um, it actually dialectical apparently means holding like two truths at once.
Ooh,
So chipping away a little bit at the black and white thinking
yeah,
that I was
I
raised
love that.
on, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'll send you a link, tell you a little bit more about it. It's been really cool. But I just texted them so they know I'm going to be late.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll
Okay,
wrap up soon.
so root causes, root issues.
Hmm.
All right, so the first time around, I was coming with this lack of a sense of self.
Mm.
Um, I had really been. Oh, sorry. Are you
Good.
still seeing
You're
me?
back. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the first time I came with this, oh, what is happening? Okay. Hopefully that can just go to voicemail. Am I back?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, is it a call was coming through?
Yeah, it was a FaceTime call and
Okay.
from a number I don't recognize. So I don't know what that was. Okay. So first time. I come in, I don't really have a strong sense of self.
Mm,
And I think a lot of the root issues I was coming from here were um, having spent a lot of my life putting on a mask or a performance to be the type of person that I thought others would like, that others would
mm,
respect, that others would want to be around.
mm,
Um, and after, a lifetime of doing that, it's maybe not surprising that I couldn't find myself underneath all of that, that I
mm,
couldn't really see who Anna was.
mhm,
Um, and I had, I'd gotten really good at being all of these other things. It just still felt empty.
mm,
So having to really think about myself and try to connect to my own knowing for the first time in my life, maybe since I was like 3 years old,
mm,
um, in that first program, it was really hard, but it really went to that core, right? That
mm,
core that, at some point as a child, I knew something. I knew I wanted something. I knew I was scared of something. I knew I felt unsafe. And somebody told me that I should just ignore that. And over time, I started to ignore a lot of the things, to the point where I didn't even trust my feelings.
oof,
And in that first program, I actually realized, oh, wow, I haven't really been feeling anything because I've been afraid of my feelings. I didn't know
yeah,
what to do them. I didn't even have feelings as a reference point to start hearing my knowing, to start hearing from myself. I had to block them all away because they were not something that had been valued. What had been valued was me being funny, happy, quiet when I needed to, all these things, but none of them were me just being responsive to my own
mm,
experience in the world.
mm.
Um, yeah, there was a lot of learning how to feel feelings at the end of that first program.
Yeah, yeah. And you actually, it was you that helped me see and realize that the mamas that are the most numb are actually the strongest feelers,
Yes.
because you all
Yeah.
feel so deeply and so strongly that because of some of those traumas and those wounds, it's so much for you to feel and experience, right? Especially when it's not
Yeah.
validated or what, that it's like the answer is like, I'm a numb it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
sort of suppress all of it. But in suppressing some of those like harder emotions, we also are suppressing genuine joy and true love and intimacy and connection, like you've talked a
Yep.
lot about, right? So it was actually you that helped me see and understand that even more, that
Oh,
like it's the mamas that are numb that actually have the most feelings buried underneath.
oh yes.
um and I remember because we talked about that a lot in the first
Yes.
round.
And
We talked
yep.
about that a lot. We unpacked a lot of those feelings. And I think you experimented with it
I
over those
did.
3 years, like, after the
Yes.
program, and
Yes.
uncovered more of that and had to sit with that and unpack that. But I'm really grateful for you coming in and being honest about not feeling and feeling numb and all these
Yeah.
things, because it really helped me understand a bit more, because I realized that it wasn't because you didn't have them. It was actually because you had them a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so that
I
was
remember
awesome. Thank you for
our
that.
conversation when we were I think the first time we were talking about this, and you said something like, well, but if you're not feeling all of these other feelings, you're probably not feeling joy and happiness.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I'm not.
Yeah, it's like a
Like,
face,
when was
like,
the last time I really felt that? I couldn't,
yes.
yeah.
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 Damn it. Yes, because it's just
Yeah.
like it's like a fake joy. It's like a fake I'm good in the world. But like you're saying, I was disconnected, I felt lonely, like all of these things. It's like, but you couldn't really fully connect to those
Hmm.
things. So you couldn't really fully connect to your joy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned so much from you, just witnessing your journey and being on that, you know, just
Hmm.
adventure with you. It really taught me a
Oh,
lot, and
I
I'm
love
really
that.
grateful for, yeah, that I was able to like work with you in that way, because it opened up my mind to
Yeah.
feelings and understanding them in a deeper way.
Yeah.
And I think it's been able to like help me help other mamas even more,
Awesome.
because of you. So
Oh, I love it.
yeah, I credit you when it comes to feelings. I'm like, oh, that was Anna. That's where I learned that. Like, beyond my own experience.
3 years ago, I never would have thought anyone would credit me for anything good to do with feelings.
Oh no, because the
And
thing
here
is,
we are. I love it.
no, and that's the thing, Anna, is like, even if you felt like, okay, I wasn't where I am now back then,
Yeah,
but you came in honest, like
yeah,
you came in
yeah,
willing to be very vulnerable when that wasn't a time when vulnerability was easy for you.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I
That's
mean?
true.
And
That's
so
very
you
true.
you just having the courage to show up like that and to be like, I don't know everything. I know there's some things I got to figure out, but being able to trust me. And we had adventures like on our calls, not just in the coaching, but like in our one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm.
We've taken some treks, you
Yep.
know. And so you were very open and trusting, and it allowed me to see you because I can't
Yeah.
see what you won't let me
Yeah.
see.
That's very true. That's very true.
you know
Yeah. Yeah.
so like I do credit you for that, and it's like it's not about being perfect or showing up and knowing all these things, but it's like you showed up as you were, and because of that I was able to do what I do and help
Yeah.
kind of like peel back some of those layers. And a lot of times I was just listening to what you were saying,
Yeah.
mirroring it back, and then asking further questions like,
Yeah.
and that's it. And then you would sort of like have these epiphanies and these breakthroughs, and then I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
yes. But it's that partnership
It
together
is. It
that we
is.
were able to have that then extended into this next round. And I'm like, some of the calls we had, holy
Mm.
moly, like holy
Oh my God.
moly. Like, I'm
Yeah.
glad they're recorded so that 10 years plus from now, you
Oh
can
my
watch
goodness.
them.
Yes. Oh,
Like I'm just
yeah.
like, wow. But no, I really appreciate how you show up, and your willingness to keep learning, to keep growing, which you have that commitment, that value to growth,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
learning, like it's just this hunger that you have,
Yes, it
and this
is.
like warrior spirit of like, now I'm figuring this shit out.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And it really has gotten us to this point.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So in the interest of time, how about you tell me kind of like, how have you applied what you've learned from the program, and would
Mhm.
would you recommend this
Oh
program,
my.
or what advice would you give to other mamas?
There are a lot of things from the program that have become more of a part of my everyday life.
Mm,
I think in the weeks after the program, but the first and the second time, friends are probably sick and tired of hearing about wild mama this, wild mama that. Um, but I think one of the biggest ones is sacred me time. So whatever that looks like, and it's looked different over the years, but making time for myself to do what I need to do with myself,
yes.
and creating ritual in that time, creating some sort of tangible way to connect with myself. I think that's been really, really
Mm,
important. The other big thing I think is, and I've come a long way with it since the first program. It was so new and so hard for me.
mm,
Was this idea of living rhythmically
mm,
and abandoning the kind of linear thinking about life in general, but about my own progression through life.
mm.
That's something that more and more I'm able to incorporate into how I live day to day.
Yeah.
Um, but that's a very big, powerful change. Just to have the mindset, even if I can't always turn it into action,
Yeah.
just to be able to have that mindset has been incredibly transformative for me.
Amazing. Amazing. Do you have your plan with you?
I do. Oh,
I would just love for the people to see it, because I am so excited about your plan.
all right. So is this
Yeah.
this is the Wild Mama Wilderness Guide?
Yeah. Can you pull it back? There you go. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Wow, mama.
that's my guide.
Yes. Yes.
This is
And
my
you
book
you
all
printed
about
it
me.
both. Yes.
Yes.
And can you speak to what you said when you printed it out, that like the first time you were like kind of like
Yeah.
cringing?
Yeah. Yes. I was. I remember, it must have been one of our last calls, and we were all getting ready to finalize our plans, get them printed out. And you were holding up your book and you were like, "This is so exciting. It's a book all about me. Y'all, how amazing is that? How powerful to have a book that's all about me." And I
Yeah.
was dying inside. It just felt awful thinking
Yeah.
about a book that was all about me, thinking about
Yeah.
something printed and having to like see myself out there. Like I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It was awkward. I mean, I still
Yeah.
printed my
You
plan.
still did it. Yeah, you
I
still did
still
it.
did it. But this time around,
Mm.
I've spent years getting to know myself. She's not a stranger to me anymore.
Ugh.
It's not weird thinking about having to confront her like that.
Mm. Mm.
Not that I don't still get scared and uncertain and everything, but the idea of having this book that was a reminder of
Mm.
all that is me, of all of my
Mm.
power,
Mm.
of all of the guidance that I have spent so much time reflecting and
Mm.
writing down and curating until I know what is the truth.
Mm.
Having all of that, like a book about me. Oh, it was so exciting this time. It was so exciting.
Yes, and I love that you called it your Wild Mama Wilderness Guide, because
Yeah.
I think you really came into a deeper understanding and knowing that like this is your tool. This is your guide
Yes.
to help you.
Yes.
Because I think you experienced that in the last one, like, holy shit, those 3 years, that really was an adventure. That was an extensive
Mhm.
adventure. So now that I kind of know what's ahead the
Well,
next three,
yes.
4, 5 years, it's like, okay, I can better prepare
Yep.
myself this time with the tools. And like, I mean, we don't have time on this call, but like the things that you came up with in your plan to like, you really did make tools, reminders, things that you need, like
Yeah.
quotes that are important, like all the things that you did. I'm just like, holy shit, Anna, this is incredible. It's incredible. And it's like your glasses. These are your
Yeah.
glasses.
Yeah.
And I get to benefit from how you see it. And I'm like, oh my God, I want my plan to have that too. I'm just like, oh my God, it's so great. So like congratulations on making this
Thank
new
you.
Wild Mama Wilderness Guide, because I think everyone was blown away when you shared yours. I was like, oh my
Oh,
goodness.
I remember when we were having I think it was probably the week 3 coaching call, and we got down into the dirty about
Mm,
the stuff that I was wrestling with. And you were like, "You're going on a journey, girl. Like,
yes.
you're going to pack a bag. You're going to like, you're not doing this alone. You're not doing this unprepared. Like, yes, it's
Yeah.
just a journey. You can do this."
Yeah.
And that was like the theme for this. It was to see all these pieces fall into place. That's right. I'm packing a
Mm,
backpack. I've got these tools.
mhm.
That's all this is. I can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And I think that's so amazing too, because I think in the linear kind of thinking, it's like, it's this long journey of life that we have to get perfect, right?
Yeah.
But when we're in a spiral, we get to come back around. And that's what you
Right.
did, right? You came back around and you're like, oh, I learned a lot from that last journey. I'm coming back around. Now I get to re up my tools, and then I get to go back out and do this journey for however long. And then I get to come back and I get to re-up those. And every time you're going
Yeah.
deeper, you're getting higher, you're understanding yourself more.
Yeah.
And I think it just, like you said, the rhythms, it allows you to recognize, oh, I actually have space to get better in this life. I have space to grow in this life. I have space to re-up my tools. I have space to go on a journey, come back, heal myself, think about what I learned, and then I
Oh,
get to go
yeah.
back out on that
And
journey.
that idea too, right? I go out on this journey. I'm going to get injured. I'm going to come
Yes.
back with some scars.
Yes.
I'm going to come back dirty and
Yeah.
stinky and tired, but I'll come
Yes.
Wild Mama Base Camp. I can trade out some tools now that I've learned some stuff. I'll be like, you know
Yes.
what? This time 1 year goals didn't work. I'm setting 1 year intentions and change
Yes.
out my backpack. And now I can
Oh,
go back out. Just like you were talking in our call that we're all sitting around this fire. We're just taking a
yes.
rest together. We're at Wild
Yes.
Mama Base Camp, just getting
Oh,
ready for the next adventure.
oh my God. I love that Wild Mama base camp. It's
Mm.
so fucking cool. Like, oh my gosh. And this is what I love about you. I feel like you can see the visions the way that I see the vision. We think in like metaphor and
Yes.
like visuals. So I feel like we enter this other world together
I
and we're like
know.
totally there. Like fuck virtual reality. Like we got Anna and Tiff, our reality, and we get into this whole other realm and we're like
Yes.
literally sitting around a fire and I can see you. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy, but
Yes.
it's so cool that we can enter this other like realm together and be and
Yeah.
understand like what this life is on a whole other level. And it's mind-blowing. I'm just so
It really
stoked to be on this journey with you. I'm so stoked that we get to continue on this path. And like, and it's like I think there's reassurance in knowing, oh, but I'm gonna see Anna at the base camp. Like I know I
yeah.
have a lot of things, but I know that Anna's gonna be there. So I gotta get there so that we can talk about our journeys and like learn and then
Yes.
keep going out. Like there's moments where we're walking together and being together, and then there's moments when we get to be on our own. Like
Yeah.
it's just really cool. Like fuck, I
Yeah.
could talk to you for hours, but I know we got to end. So like
Yeah. This, Tiff, I think that's one of the things that this second cohort solidified for me that I didn't realize was possible. This ongoing community, this, oh, I could be a part of Wild
whew.
Mama for the rest of my life.
Ah,
Oh, this wasn't just this one thing I did in
yeah,
2020.
yes. Oh my God.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Gives me chills. Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that. Because that's the point. That's what I want. I
Yes.
never wanted this to be a one-time thing with a program. Like
Yeah.
I want it to be a lifestyle. I want you to feel like you have a community for life, but it feels real. It's not just some fucking Facebook group.
Yes,
We
exactly.
don't know anybody. Like
Yeah.
this is different. And it makes
A
me feel
real
like
community.
we're really gonna actually do a hike. Like I can see it in the future. Like
Yes.
we're going on a long, like a physical hike. Like we're doing this light
Yes.
spiritual thing, but we're gonna do like a
No,
physical.
now we're
long
talking real
hike.
reality.
Yeah. Real. Like we're doing that, and we're gonna do it at the retreat. Like we're gonna hike
so
together. It's
excited.
gonna be like
I'm so
amazing.
excited.
But it makes me want to do a bonfire at the retreat. I'm like, we got to do a fire. I didn't even think of
Yeah.
that, but we got to do a fire.
Yeah.
So we're
We
gonna
gotta
make
do
that
fire.
happen. But thank you, Anna, for
Yeah.
taking this time. This
You're
was
so welcome.
incredible. Any last words or anything that you want to share before we wrap?
The Wild Mama Master Plan program is revolutionary for mamas in a way that I don't think there's nothing out there like it. There is nothing out there that takes this same approach, this same holistic, mama-centered approach. It'll change your life.
Drop the mic. Thank
Done.
you, Anna.
Tiff, if you need anything else, let me know. I can throw this
Thank
shirt
you.
on again and record something.
Thank
Just
you, part 2. No, I really appreciate you. This is great. Sorry you're late for your meeting, but love you so much. Really appreciate you.
I love
like,
you, Tiff.
Value you like to the ends of the earth. So
I'm so glad I'm going to be in Hawaii soon, because otherwise I'd be like, I don't know, I guess I just got to do another cohort.
I know. See you in 3 years.
That's right.
Okay, well, enjoy your call and thank you so much. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.